All right, so what do we got here out of Bloomberg? As this article says, Avenatti indicted for embezzling money from disabled client. So we've recently been reporting on Michael Avenatti, of course, the creepy porn lawyer, as Tucker Carlson calls him. And you know how he was involved in the Stormy Daniels case and everything like that. And he just got really vicious. People around him said he was just a really disgusting individual and got a really bad vibe off of him. And then we find out that he was trying to basically extort people, allegedly, including Nike. And when Nike says just do it, they don't mean extortion, at least as far as I know. And anyway, let's get into this article. It says, as the article goes into, celebrity lawyer Michael Avenatti, who made his name as fierce critic of President Donald Trump, was indicted by a federal grand jury in California on 36 charges, including a new claim that he stole millions of dollars from a paraplegic client's settlement. The indictment moves 48 a step closer to a trial. He was charged in a criminal complaint in Santa Ana, California on March 25th for stealing a different client's $1.6 million settlement to cover his own expenses, as well as cheating a Mississippi bank. On the same day, prosecutors in New York accused him of trying to extort millions of dollars from Nike Incorporated. Real smart guy. Totally political material. I mean, he would have been a great president as far as criminal presidents go. Avenatti now faces additional charges, including wire fraud, tax violations, and lying under oath in a bankruptcy case, as well as claims involving several clients whose settlements he allegedly embezzled after deploying a web of lies. And I quote, money generated from one set of crimes was used to further other crimes, typically in the form of payments designed to string along victims so as to prevent Mr. Avenatti's financial house of cards from collapsing. U.S. Attorney Nicola Hanna in Los Angeles said Thursday at a press conference. And I quote, it is Lawyer 101, Hanna said. You do not steal your client's money. Gee, you think? You don't steal money in general. I mean, government hates competition. Avenatti, who gained notoriety by representing porn actress Stormy Daniels in a lawsuit against Trump, denied the allegations and said the case comes after 2 decades of representing Davids versus Goliaths. Along the way, I have made many powerful enemies, he said in an emailed statement. I am entitled to full presumption of innocence and am confident that justice will be done once all of the facts are known. He's also defending himself on Twitter, and says any claim that any monies due clients were mishandled is bogus nonsense. By way of example only, there are many more like this. Here is a document Mr. Johnson signed less than a month ago attesting to my ethics and how his case was handled. I look forward to proving my innocence. The allegations involving Avenatti's disabled former client, Jeffrey Ernest Johnson, add an element of depravity to the criminal case. Josh Robbins, a lawyer with Greenberg Gross LLP in Los Angeles, confirmed Johnson is the disabled man described in the indictment. Robbins now represents Johnson. Avenatti sued the county of Los Angeles on behalf of Johnson, who suffered severe emotional distress and several physical injuries, including paraplegia, according to the indictment. The county paid $4 million to resolve the case in January 2015, the U.S. said, but Avenatti hid the money and over a period of several months drained the settlement for his own benefit. Avenatti continued to lie to his client through last month, according to the indictment. He allegedly sent Johnson occasional payments of no more than $1,900 and paid the rent for his assisted living facility while falsely telling the man that the money was an advance on the settlement, the U.S. said. Robbins said Johnson was left destitute by Avenatti's actions and is now cooperating with prosecutors. Mr. Johnson is the victim of an appalling fraud perpetrated by one person who owed him loyalty and money, most of all, his own lawyer. Robbins said in an emailed statement, Mr. Avenatti stole millions of dollars that were meant to compensate Mr. Johnson for devastating injuries, spent it on his own lavish lifestyle, then lied about it to Mr. Johnson for years to cover his tracks. Social Security. Avenatti allegedly tried to cover up the scam by derailing Johnson's attempt to buy a house and lying to the Social Security Administration about the settlement, resulting in the client losing his Social Security benefits in February, according to the indictment. Avenatti also raided another client settlement in 2017 to pay $2.5 million for his portion of a jet, prosecutors said. Avenatti capitalized on how the Stormy Daniels case raised his profile, repeatedly assailing Trump and his former attorney, Michael Cohen. He even floated a possible presidential run. Avenatti also allegedly defrauded a bank in Mississippi, submitting false tax returns to get 3 loans for over $4 million in 2014 for his law firm and company he owns, Global Baristas US LLC. Of course, it's a barista company. I want to point out that it always seems to be the people that want to use the most force against others, push the idea of complete central planning and control of the populace, that seem to be most in favor of, hiding their money. It's like banks. They're like the biggest money launderers in the world, but then they report everyone else to the government if they dare to not want to be extorted. I think it's really a telltale sign, but I also want to mention something that I find interesting about this. It's the fact that as we see what's happening, of course, with someone like Julian Assange, someone who has never been proven wrong in anything that he's ever put forward on WikiLeaks, has never been proven wrong more than anyone, including us here at WHAM, can ever say that we can't ever say that we were never wrong. Never mind Julian Assange's opinions, but the facts that are put forward, the declassified or classified documents leaked on WikiLeaks. Never proven wrong, not one of them, and no one has ever proven that they've endangered any lives. But when you're leaking information of people murdering people, why is it that the person that leaks the information gets in trouble and not the people murdering people? Anyway, my point is, we have this honesty coming from someone like Julian Assange, and then at the same time, you have these people like Michael Avenatti, who was pushed up like a golden boy in the mainstream media, all while this Mueller investigation was going on, this Russia nonsense, all this fake news, one thing after another. And of course, the media it was getting a lot more into propping up Michael Avenatti than they are taking him down with all this craziness. Of course, Stormy Daniels has pushed herself away from him and all that kind of stuff as well. But I just find it very interesting, all of this, while, people like Donald Trump, of course, say, I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing, says Trump following Assange's arrest. It's all political theater. It's all theater, and we cannot fall into it. We have this Michael Avenatti guy who's just one of many, many scumbags that are propped up by the media, as well as Hollywood, propping up these rapists and murderers and disgusting individuals, just disgusting pedophiles and pervs and degraded people, Harvey Weinstein, and then mixing the Hollywood realm with the political realm. It's all one part of one giant complex of propaganda and pushing people into dependence and servitude. But you see this stuff coming out about Michael Avenatti, obviously a really terrible person. Of course, these are allegations, they're not proven yet, but there's more than a few things coming out against him, and it's not just because he has a few powerful enemies, it's because he has been caught up time and time again in controversies that involve extortion and screwing people over, and eventually this kind of stuff catches up to a person. So I just wanted to point that out. I mean, the just going back and forth between mainstream media propaganda and who they prop up versus who they shove under the bus. The people that expose the lies, the people who expose the truth around us on a daily basis, those are the ones that are dangerous and must be thrown in jail. And that sets a very dangerous precedent for every single last one of us. And the further and further we fall down that hole of dependency, the more enslaved we get. The government is organized crime, taxation is theft, and the government only benefits from the enslavement of the populace, the dependency of the populace. And the government only does what benefits them. So what are you going to do about it, folks? Are we going to watch this theater play out more? We've only been doing it since, ancient Greece. When do we actually start looking at this and going, well, maybe this is wrong. Maybe I should be a free individual. Maybe I shouldn't be extorted. Maybe I shouldn't be enslaved. Maybe I shouldn't be used to sacrifice as a pawn for the king and the queen. Something to think about for all of you watching this here today. Screw Avenatti. Good riddance to him. But on to the next, on to really fighting for our own individual freedom and self-responsibility, individual responsibility, not groupthink, not collectivist mantra nonsense, under the guise of, I have a good idea, I think it should be forced on everyone, and oh, the media says that this happened, so I'm just going to regurgitate it over and over again like a brainwashed slave. The mainstream media is dying because of stuff like this. Anyway, thanks for joining us today, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
Bye.